Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Good night, and welcome to Jazzy Conversations. I'm Teef.
And I'm Gigi.
And we're excited to be here.
Listen, thanks for checking in.
Welcome to Jazzy Conversations. I'm Teef.
And I'm Gigi.
And G, we're back.
Hello, Teef. It's good to see you, man.
It's good to It feels like it's been a while, right?
Feels like it.
Oh, my goodness. I'm excited about today, G.
Yes.
So this comedian.
Come on, no laugh tracks. This
Listen,
is real, right?
big, seriously, big time.
Yes.
This guy is so talented.
Mm-hmm.
When Def Comedy Jam was out, he was king.
Man, he was a rocket
King.
ship. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Amazing individual. Yeah. And we're excited to have him.
So excited. So excited. I hope he, let's see how clean he keeps it. This guy's funny.
Ted Carpenter. Ted is the man.
Yes.
G.
Yes.
Let's have some fun.
Come on.
Okay, so we're going to bring Ted on in about 5 minutes. But
all right.
Prior to that, let's have some fun.
Come on.
So, today's games, G. Okay. I'm going to say a name.
Okay.
And you tell me which one you prefer.
Okay. All right.
Here we go.
I can do that. There's no wrong answer. Okay.
Same thing with you guys. You ready? Here we go. LL Cool J, Big Daddy Kane.
Oh, Teef, you always make it challenging. All right. It's oh God. All right, it depends on what you're talking about.
2,
oh God.
1.
I'm gonna go with L. I'm gonna go with L for longevity.
Brandy, Monica.
Brandy.
Pumas or Adidas?
Adidas, baby.
Okay. Jeffersons or Good Times?
Jeffersons.
Tony Braxton, Anita Baker.
Ooh.
Yeah, let's get interested.
Ooh, Anita Baker. That's
Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey.
Whitney.
Pepsi, Coca-Cola.
No, Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola.
You ready? Nas or Rakim?
I feel like you setting me up. I feel like you setting me up. It's gonna be hard to go home to my husband if I don't get this right. But
5,
oh man,
4,
I'm going with Nas. I'm going with Nas. I love the R, I do, but I'm going with Nas.
New Edition. Wu-Tang.
That don't even make sense. Why are you trying to? Oh, I'm going with New Edition. I'm going with New. I know Wu love the kids, but I'm gonna go with New Edition.
Sam Cooke, Marvin Gaye.
Ooh, I'm going with Sam. I'm gonna go with Sam Cooke on that. Yeah.
Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey.
You gave me that one.
I did?
And I'm gonna say it again. Whitney Houston.
Okay. I'm sorry.
No, that's good. I'm going with her twice.
Here's a good one. Ashanti, Keisha Cole.
Keisha Cole.
Oh, wow.
Keisha more hood. I like Keisha.
Okay.
She feel like an underdog to me. I like her.
And let me see. Let me give you a good one. Different Strokes, Sanford and Son.
I think I like Sanford and Son better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Judge Mathis, Judge Judy.
I don't care who hate on me. I love me some Judge Judy.
Okay,
She's funny to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I like Judge Judy. What's up?
That was fun.
That was fun.
You had a good time?
Do you have some favorites?
I do. I'm not sure if I can go back.
So Mariah Carey or Whitney Houston? I'll ask you that one.
Whitney.
Different Strokes or Sanford and Son?
Sanford and Son.
Nas or the
Nas,
R?
Nas.
All right. No. So this is the last one I'll ask you because I remember this one. Is it Big Daddy Kane or is it LL?
Kane.
Oh, I can't be mad either
Kane,
one.
I love him.
So let it roll. Get bold.
Welcome to Jazzy Conversations. I'm Teef.
And I'm Gigi.
And ladies and gentlemen, we have Teddy Carpenter coming on.
Get ready to laugh.
Hey, listen, I hope you guys are ready. You ready? Here we go. Welcome to Jazzy Conversations. I'm Teef.
And I'm Gigi.
And G, amazing. Look at who we have on the screen.
Ted Carpenter.
Ted Carpenter. The man, Ted Carpenter.
Look like an old man. I know I haven't shaved. I haven't shaved. I I hadn't had a chance to, and you have to forgive me. First of all, how y'all doing?
We doing all right. How you doing?
I'm all right. I'm trying to get to at least a Starbucks so I can sit down, man, and y'all don't see all these trees in the background.
That's all right.
I'm right by the highway, so I apologize. There's a lot of noise. I was late, but it wasn't my fault. Technology is a mug, man. I'm telling you.
That's all right. Greg.
We are glad to have you, man.
Greg was on it. Greg was on it. Don't worry about it. And
I appreciate that.
So we're going to go through the process, Ted. Listen, I want to, first of all, Gigi and I were talking, and I was telling Gigi, I'm so excited about this interview because Ted Carpenter, oh my goodness, I'm a huge fan of yours. Going back to the 90s, Def Comedy Jam. Amazing.
Appreciate that. Definitely. I definitely appreciate that. I get people come up every day and wonder, have I quit the business and whatever. But it's a lot of background story, to that. So
yeah.
And we want to dive into that.
Sure.
Absolutely.
That's not a problem. I've never been one to tiptoe. And so that's why sometimes I don't do a lot of interviews because I don't tiptoe. And this business is full of politics. People don't realize that.
Yeah.
But definitely full of the politics. But I appreciate y'all having me. Sure.
Absolutely. I'm so listen. Greg said you saw the podcast, and he said, "Listen, Teddy want to be on the show."
I'm walking under a train.
That's okay.
we got Ted Carpenter on the move. On the move.
I'm going to be in the clear in a minute. I don't know if y'all see that's the subway. I don't know, over top of me.
No problem.
The trains come through. But I'm going to find me a Starbucks, and I'm going to sit down, and I'm going to act like I with some sense and with a good, all right.
No problem. So listen, you're in D.C., right?
Absolutely.
All right. So Ted, let's start at the beginning. So originally, you're from Virginia, moved to D.C. How does that go?
I was born out of D.C. I was born in D.C. Majority of my family lived in D.C. and Virginia.
Okay.
But, if you know anything about the area, and people can say whatever they want, but the better education is Northern Virginia right in the area. So my family came from that side, and it's only, we're talking about 5 miles,
okay.
8 miles, 10 miles, 15 miles at the most from DC, So, my mother was like, nah, you're not growing up in DC. And now understand, this is prior to all of the crack and everything that was sold on the streets.
Yeah.
Okay.
Still had DC still had its troubles back in the day. And, when you live in Virginia, that's easy living.
Yeah, a little better life. Mm-hmm.
If you can, that's why she broke her back to try to keep her kids on that side of the table, Yeah.
Okay.
So
how many of them? You have siblings. So how many siblings did you have?
Brother and sister.
Okay, so 3 of y'all.
Okay. Yeah. You're the oldest?
I am not, youngest.
You're the baby.
You're the baby of the bunch. Okay.
All right.
And then if you count maybe the 2 that my father had.
Okay.
You could count those 2, say 5.
All right. Yeah. If you count them, we count them.
They're siblings. They're siblings.
If they, yeah. I mean, I don't have anything. I mean, it's one of those things where you as a black kid, things happen and you don't know who's who until somebody dies.
Oh.
Absolutely.
And then everybody starts telling the truth.
Mm-hmm.
One of your drunk uncles.
So that's your brother.
Absolutely.
And so that's that. Mm-hmm. So I claim them if they're in front of me. I don't walk around and say, I have these brothers, but
yeah,
it is what it is.
It is what it is. Yes.
So Ted, I want to jump into this. Okay. So first of all, you played sports. I know you're very competitive. You play football, Absolutely. You play basketball, and
baseball. Can't forget baseball.
Baseball. Don't want to leave that off. You played in high school, and then you went to college, correct?
Played all since I was 6 years old. I played basketball, baseball, and football all year round.
You were all season athlete, yeah.
All season until we got to high school, and baseball started slowing up. Mm-hmm. Baseball just started slowing up. Football was more of my natural sport at the time.
Uh-huh.
And basketball was, everybody in my area could play the ball. So you had to know how to play basketball. But I went to college for football.
Okay.
Yeah.
What school did you go to?
Elizabeth City State University.
Oh, okay. Absolutely. Okay.
Yeah, HBCU.
HBCU.
All
Absolutely.
right.
Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm actually right before you called. I got a son that's playing junior college, and I'm still learning the ropes as far as junior college. He'll only be there another year, but they give out scholarships and the whole 9 yards, just like the 4 years. So he's on, he's going to about 4 schools, deciding which one he wants to play for.
All right.
So you have to learn all of that stuff, man. You have to, be engaged. I'm on the other side now. I'm older, so I had to talk to all these coaches and whatever the case may be. That's taking up a large portion of the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So Ted, now let's dive into the comedy. So when does that start for you? How does that start? After college? What does that look like?
It starts way before then. It's a long story, but I'm trying to cut pieces.
Yes.
When I was younger, of course, like a lot of guys, I'm sorry looking around. One, you got to do that when you're DC, but two, you have to
be safe now.
I'm deciding which little hubby I'm gonna try to crawl up in so I can have a better look at you guys. But when I was younger, of course, we used to listen to all the Moms Mabley and Richard Pryor and Pigmeat Malcolm and all of the albums that they had out. And I knew all of it word for word. Like I knew just about everybody's stuff word for word. And I would listen to anybody who, was funny that was black. And even white actors, but it was more so black because that's what your parents bought. They were party records. And so when I got a little older, of course we had record stores you can go buy.
Correct.
Albums, and that's the only albums I would buy. I wouldn't buy Earth, Wind and Fire and all that. I would buy all comedy.
Wow.
I was going to spend my money. And when I was about, when I knew I was going to do comedy for sure, 100%, no questions asked. My mother took me to see Richard Pryor at the Kennedy Center when I was about, I want to say I was about 11 or 12.
You went with your mom to see Richard.
I went with my mother to see Richard Pryor at the Kennedy Center
at 12 years
DC.
old. Wow.
At about 12. Well, the thing about it is, on the surface, it looks like, Lord, who mother would take them to whatever. But she, it's one of those things where the way she looked at it, and it's funny too, because maybe I need to have this conversation with her, but I kind of know her, and the way she looked at it was, okay, I'm in sports, I'm not out, I'm not on drugs, I'm not, in my neighborhood, it was a lot of drugs, a lot of stuff happening. I wasn't into any of that. I didn't smoke, I didn't drink. To this day, I don't smoke, I don't drink. So a lot of that came from there. So, me cursing or me listening to this wasn't a situation where, because, my mother had to quit her job and go back to school. She got if you was on welfare, they had these grants that'll allow you to go back to college. And my mother, you couldn't do both. So if she was to graduate, she had to, get on welfare and go. That's how they, pretty much made you do it and go back to school. And that's what she wanted to do to get a. So while she was in school, I was pretty much out there making my living the way I made my living.
Okay.
Because it wasn't enough money coming in the door.
Yeah. So
cuss words and language was just a part of the area and the neighborhood. So that was like the least of your worries.
Right.
If you was a black parent, that was the least, of your worries, or whatever the case may be. So,
okay.
That was that. So she took me to see Richard Pryor. I went to see Richard Pryor, and I never forget, I was upset at the show. And the reason I was upset is because I knew all of the words word for word. And when Richard did them, he didn't do it. And of course, I don't know this at this point. You know, I don't know too much about comedy, but you know, I'm thinking you're going to do it exactly the
like
way
it's
you
on the
did
record.
on the album.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And in my mind, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it, and people are going to see me do it. And I don't know how this worked out, but maybe Richard was like, "Hey, dude, you funny? Come up on stage." Like I had it all mapped out. I had it all mapped out, and it didn't even matter. He wasn't sitting nowhere near close to the front. You
So
know what
what's
I'm
gonna
saying?
happen
So,
like that anyway?
it was going to happen like that anyway. It was all mapped out, and he got up there and he started doing the material, and I was like, "That ain't how that joke go." And I'm enjoying it, but I'm mad because he's not, he's adding on all of the things that you do live. Of course, then I didn't know, now I know, but then I didn't, even a lot of comics, they'll change. They may do the same. Even when I do stand up now, it may be the basis of the same joke, but I may do it 35 different ways.
Right.
Period. Where some comics, they'll write a joke and and they'll do it the same way.
Verbatim.
I'm still trying to it's almost like squeezing. I don't know if that wind is blowing, if y'all can hear that
No,
wind
we hear
blowing.
you fine. We hear you just fine.
Okay. When you do material, when you create material, I was never a prolific writer. So the concept had to be funny. And so then I got to make you see the concept. So I would have to do it 3, 4, 5, 7 different ways. And that's where storytelling come from. Storytelling, whether it's old black folks or whatever the case would be, they can make you see what happened during that time. And so that's kind of where my concept came from.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. So doing this came way before Def Jams and all of that stuff, and it was even before Def Jam. It was you had to. It was eras where you had the chitlin circuit. Well, when I was coming through, there was no chitlin circuit. That era was past. So you were in a dead area as far as a black comic. You had to learn how to do white shows, period.
Okay.
And all, the hat to the side and all of the stuff we used to wear and the black power sign, you couldn't wear that stuff in some of the white comedy clubs.
Yeah.
They just wouldn't hire you.
Okay.
You just wouldn't be hired. You can do it, but you wouldn't be hired. And they were only hiring a few black people, accepting them anyway. And then their material, and you still even see a large portion of, and now they have words for it like crossing over and whatever. But it's always been there. You see a large group of black comics who can only do white shows or who only elect to do white shows.
Right.
Because in their mind, for various reasons, but you still see it. So I had to go on that side, but I never forgot my side either. The way that some of the comics around this area came through, I came through a little different. DC had a couple of comedy clubs, and I just did a documentary, which originally I didn't want to do because it was all based off of, what's in the water in DC. Like some of the best comics came out of DC.
Absolutely.
And I'm saying yes, and no. There's nothing in the water. There was just there was a large portion of comics that came through. I used to watch Dave Chappelle when he would do his first jokes.
Yeah.
His mama used to bring him. His mother was a real nice lady. And, he was too young. I was young too, but he was too young to, because they had, served liquor and all that stuff. Yeah. So he would come, they would let him come do his show, and then he would leave. He couldn't hang out or whatever the case should be. I did some of the white clubs, and they didn't give you that much time. And then I would go to the black clubs, the dance hall, wherever the club was, Ibex, wherever the club was. And there was a time, all liquor had to be taken up by 2:00. All liquor had to be. So I don't care how much you partying to keep, everybody wanted to keep their liquor license. So about 2:45 on the nose, they cut everything. Turn the lights on, blah, 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 take every glass, every every drink. I don't care if you
That's
was drinking
right.
water. I don't care what you doing. Because them black folks did not want to lose that
Lose
liquor
that
license.
license.
Absolutely,
That's right.
absolutely.
That's bread and
So
butter.
the DJ wasn't playing. Nobody was playing. Well, guess whose turn it was to entertain these mad niggas, excuse my language, Negro, if you want to say, black folk that just got their liquor taken away from them.
Right, right.
Ted Carpenter.
That's
So
you.
15 minutes of warfare.
Right, right.
15 minutes of warfare. That's
You
what you
have to
had.
be funny. You
So
have to
so
be.
you
Yeah.
you had to be funny. You had to be able to go back and forth. You had to be able to even go back and forth where you could make people laugh at somebody, but you had to be careful. You had to curb it.
Okay.
Curb it
Smooth it
because
out. Yeah.
at that point, you had all the gang. Well, DC really never had gangs.
Mm-hmm.
They had a lot of dudes who was on the streets. Rayful Edmonds,
Mm-hmm.
all of the gangbangs. So guess what? You embarrass them in front of their crew
You
or the
got
people or
problems.
whatever the case
Yeah.
be. You got a problem.
You got a problem.
You got a
Wow.
problem. And so all of these things you had to. I mean, you really had to learn how to navigate. You still couldn't be no little sucker, but you
Mm-hmm.
had to navigate. And you got to understand, I would go to all of these places by myself. No group, no boys.
Mm-hmm.
No, I
Mm-hmm.
got my man watching my back.
Yeah.
None of that. None of that. It was me.
So
So anything happened, it was going to be
It's
on
gonna
me.
be on you. Wow.
so that was your training ground. I'm listening to you, and I was waiting for you to
Training ground.
finish because I watched the interview with you before, and the individual said, "Listen, when you came on the scene, a lot of us thought you had a machine behind you, a team, because you were so seasoned." They said on one of these interviews, they said when you came through, we were already out. You had Bernie, you had Pierre, you had a lot of those guys out. But when you came out, they said, "Man, you were individual, but we thought you had a team." Is that because you were already seasoned doing all these shows?
Well, it depends on what time they're referring to.
In the
But
beginning.
yeah, well, see, that's what I'm saying. I was out before a lot of these guys.
Right.
Though as they talk, even when I did a interview with Pierre, Pierre don't have as many years under his belt as I do.
No, I saw that interview, and that interview was
Yeah.
amazing. That was an amazing interview.
Yeah. So as he spoke, almost like, hey, you came into where we were. I had to correct him. Like, bro, I was always there.
Yeah.
I just didn't do the same thing that y'all did, because at the end of the day, when I was coming to, you got to understand, when you're coming up, and comedy is still, even to this day, it's still structured off of predominantly white clubs. So, I mean, we can go deep into this stuff, but you 15 minutes for the headline, and this is weekend acts. 15 minutes for the MC, 30 minutes, 25 to 30 minutes for the middle, and then the last act gets 45 to possibly an hour. And that's how most all comedy clubs are structured, even to this day.
Mm-hmm.
So, but when you're an open micer, one, they want to keep you an open micer. Open micer means you come and you don't get paid.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, you sign up, you wait your turn. It could be 2 people, 10 people, 30 people. It could be anything. And you do your little, and they try to start you off at 2 minutes. Sometimes it's 3.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get 5. Some of the guys who are veterans, who are working comics, they might get 15,
Mm-hmm.
20. If they came in while you were going up on stage, you would get bumped.
Mm-hmm.
Just because they came through the door and they have a relationship with the club. So, do I want to do this for the next 20 years?
Yeah.
Heck no.
Yeah. Sounds like
Heck,
a lot
I
of
don't know
work.
if I can. I don't know if I can curse, but I almost cursed like
You
8
can
times.
curse. You can curse.
So heck no. Well, no, I don't want to do that. So I'll do that because they're telling you this is one of the paths you can go through.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, nah, I'm gonna do this over here too, because to me, a lot of y'all are scared to go in this deep water.
Mm-hmm.
Period. I didn't see, and when I say this, you may do an interview with a couple of guys and they may say they've done it. I'm not saying they haven't. I'm saying I ain't see you.
Yeah. Yeah.
The clubs, and I'm telling you, the clubs I went to were looking back, it's so wild because looking back on it, I was probably in the most dangerous clubs in the country. Like DC was known back then. There was a body dropping 2 or 3 times a day.
And you rolling up
like
alone,
it wasn't
yeah.
and so, but I wanted to do comedy that bad where, okay, look, y'all ain't gonna shoot no comedian. Like you don't get no points for that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That was my mindset.
Yeah.
But it didn't matter who you was. You mess around and embarrass the wrong dude.
Yeah.
Or whatever the case should be. And in fact, that almost happened to me a couple of times. In doing comedy where I was like, because before you go up, you can scan the room and you can see who think they the big boss of the room. You can see that. You can tell. And one of the first times I went to LA, and I was playing the Comedy Store, I'm sitting there watching, and I was probably about 5, 6, 7 comics down. So of course I'm watching the show. And all during the show, it was this dude, just saying whatever he want, blah, blah, blah. And none of the comics would say anything back to him. None of they would act like that joker was the wall. They wouldn't say, I'm talking about not one word.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, I ain't never seen this before. Now, mind you, I'm in LA by myself. And I'm like, I ain't never seen this shit before. Like, y'all won't say nothing to you. I won't even say, I said, let him say something to me. I'm all cocked and loaded. Like I'm going, soon he opened his mouth. And for some reason, he didn't. It was another dude that said something. I kind of got on him, and everybody laughed and blah blah blah. Did my time, and that was it. Go outside, hanging out, whatever the case may be. A lot of ruckus, this stuff going on, and then all these dudes get in the car. There's a bunch of cars, and one of the dudes get in the car. He does donuts right in front of the comedy club. Just nobody's saying nothing. Everybody's backing up.
Yeah.
And they was like, who is that? With Suge Knight.
Oh wow.
Oh wow. That's who was making all the comments that you that didn't. Wow. What Suge? What you doing coming to the club heckling the people, right?
And again, I did not know who Suge Knight was. Like at that time, I didn't know who damn Suge Knight was.
Yeah.
I mean, they did, but I didn't.
Right.
And it took me a while to even, I think it was like 2 or 3, 4 years later, where somebody reminded me of that particular night.
Yeah.
And they was like, yeah, that was Suge Knight. That was such and such. And I was like, what? And that's how I knew who he was later on.
Yeah.
Wow.
But at the time, I didn't know who it was.
Right.
Man, you got yourself into something.
So it was, but as comedy, you have a lot of people who go and they go to comedy clubs. And I'm not even, some people go like, okay, I dare him say something to me. I'm gonna do this, but some people go to enjoy themselves. You have a lot of men who come to clubs and they bring their woman and they get upset that their woman is laughing.
Right.
They're jealous. They're jealous of the attention, even though you ain't even looked at her. You have not even paid them no attention.
Yeah. Oh, you think she funny, huh? Yeah.
And that's what it is. And then sometimes you have women who got a dude that they set them off, like they, you ain't gonna let nobody talk to me like that, or put a battery in his back, that type of thing. Because how many times, and I'm sorry to say this, how many times if a woman got you in bad trouble and bad situations,
you can say it.
Whatever. So I mean, you get all of these different factions at comedy clubs for years and years and years. Now, for the most part, I've been able to escape, all of the BS. But I got into it 2, 3, 4 times. Yeah.
So Ted, I want to hear that process in regards to that phone call that came when you got that call for Def Comedy Jam. How did that feel? What was that like back in the 90s?
People don't.
I might be the wrong person to ask that.
Yeah, see, I've heard some of your interviews. I think you started.
Yeah, because I was going to say I'd never not one time wanted to be on Def Comedy Jam.
Wow.
I never wanted to be on Def Comedy Jam. And on the backside, everybody say wow, but you got to understand the terrain at the time. If you remember, I told you a lot of the comics during that time and coming through, the biggest thing that was moving was HBO. It was an HBO 30-minute special. That was the biggest thing. Mind you, nobody even heard of a Def Jam or a Def anything. Or whatever. A lot of people didn't even know who Russell Simmons was because at the time, it was like Russell Simmons. Okay, you might have seen him on an album cover or something like that, but he wasn't a rapper. He wasn't social media and all that. But nobody knew. If you were in New York, you might have known, or you was deep into hip hop, you might have known. I wasn't. I mean, I was, but I wasn't. I wasn't like, I know the producers
industry,
and I know.
As a consumer,
I ain't know nothing about them dudes. So I was one of the only guys that I know of, and I want to say Bernie, but I'm not 100% sure. It may be 2 or 3 other guys. But I was one of the only guys that never had to audition for Def Jam. I never auditioned, and that's why to this day, me and old boy, what's his name? Shit, I can't even remember his name. It'll come to me in a minute. Always had kind of a, we was cool in a space together, but he wasn't all that fond of me, so I was cool. I ain't all that fond of you. The dude that went around and found everybody for Def Jam, his name will come to me in a minute. But he didn't find me. He couldn't place claim on me. Like he couldn't say, well,
he didn't discover you and bring you in
or whatever. No, I was already doing comedy, and I had. If you go back long enough, some of the Def Jam material, I had just did the Apollo for like the second, third time, and the material is close. It's similar to Def Jam.
Okay.
I had to actually find that tape. It took me all this time, and somebody just sent it to me. But I was already doing stand-up comedy, and I was a working comic. Now, were you doing all of these big shows in whatever case? No, but I was working. I was getting paid, a couple of dollars to go. Absolutely. So they went out and they found a lot of comics had a lot of places, and comics would come and they picked them, and so forth and so on. I was one of the only guys who never had to audition. But so I don't specifically remember the exact phone call, but I was like, I can remember the time, and I was like, Def Jam? The hell is a Def Jam? I don't want to do that shit. I want to do if they said the word HBO. So if you said the word HBO, I want to do an HBO special. That's what I wanted to do. Yeah. So I thought about it. I didn't respond right away. It took me years to figure out that no matter what anybody ever says to you, take about 15 minutes before you respond.
That's wisdom. There's some wisdom there.
Or even take a day, because there's been a lot of times in my career, somebody would say something to me and I'm like, man, and I'll respond and it just didn't work in my favor. But I didn't want to do Def Jam. Def Jam was, I get the concept, I understood the concept, but I wanted to do HBO special. So in my mind, I was like, okay, once again, I'm always plotting for something else. You don't let me through the front door, let me figure out how to get through the back door, but I'm gonna figure out how to get in the building. Right. And so I was like, okay, all right. So I do this little Def Jam. And so I'm sure I'm asking questions a lot of guys are not asking. How much time is on stage? How much, such and such? And they were like, you can basically, Def Jam encouraged you to cuss, encouraged the more urban, I'm gonna say, the better. I don't find that to be true now, but you have to understand. You come from these white clubs. You like comics could come up to you and say, hey, that joke you told about the short people, I don't want you to tell that joke anymore. If you was the MC and he was the headline, he could tell you that joke is, he wouldn't say it was too funny. He would just say, that's too close to my material. I don't want you to tell that joke.
Wow.
So it was this hierarchy that you had to go through.
Okay.
So on the predominantly white side, as far as Def Jam, I started asking a bunch of questions. Okay, how much time do you get? What do you get? Blah blah blah. Because in my mind, I was like, okay, HBO, this is what I'll do. I'll go out there and get a standing ovation. And I'm telling you, on everything I love, on my mama to this day, I said, I'm gonna go out and get a standing ovation, and I'm gonna make them sign me to do a HBO special.
Man on a mission.
So that was within my mind. So I set everything up. I was like, okay, even the time that I taped, because again, if you tape any shows, Def Jam tapes all the shows. It might be over a weekend. You might tape 20 shows, but they're Thursday through Sunday.
Okay.
But when they edited, of course, it looked like it was shot every week. It wasn't. They taped everything all at one time.
Right.
They edited. They even moved people, to make the show better.
Okay.
Because I recorded with certain guys, but then when they, of course, aired it, it was with certain other guys.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. So that's how TV does it. Anytime they do a group of comics or whatever the case may be. So I recorded with Bill Bellamy and I think Bernie was one of the recordings at the recording, but when they aired it, it was a different. See, because you gotta back then, Bill Bellamy was Def Jam's guy.
Yep.
Like Bill Bellamy was Def Jam's, like they was rolling the dice. And that's another reason I don't think to this day they really kind of mess with me too tough, because they didn't see me coming. They knew I was funny or whatever, but they didn't see me. That was their guy. So Bill, I think during the taping, and Bill's my guy and whatever, but I think they made a mistake of putting Bill behind me, and that was a huge error.
So Ted, listen, real quick. So I want to ask those questions that I saw an interview that you did, and it was an amazing interview, like I said, and you got into it. So you started talking about how you did clubs rough in Cleveland. It was a situation in Cleveland. You told that story about there was some players in the audience, and they were gonna shoot up the place, and you was like, "Listen, we gotta get off stage. We gotta get going." You remember that interview? Yes, correct.
Yeah, I don't think it was Cleveland. It was in Ohio somewhere. I gotta ask my cousin because he knows.
Okay.
It was in Ohio, but yeah. DL was at the time. DL was one of my best friends, at the time, and we had to do a lot of shows. It's you got to kind of understand the background of kind of what you're walking into. Def Jam, when they made so much money, a lot of I keep it short. A lot of gangsters would do shows, one for entertainment, because Def Jam record company, blah blah blah. And even Def Jam was doing, they didn't do this for comedy. They did this to be able to up their business and some of the stuff, and they just happen to have comedy too.
Correct.
So we do these shows, and they would sell these shows to all these gangsters. So you go to wherever you're going to, not knowing the dude who purchased the show is probably the biggest coke drug dealer in that particular city or whatever the case may be. Now, not all of them, and I'm not saying they Def Jam did it on purpose. I'm just saying a lot of dudes was gangsters.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way. So that particular story, I did my material, and DL and I would switch off and on in different shows and whatever. And it was DL's time. And DL at that time, a lot of his material was going at people. He would just rapid fire. Like DL was the best at it. He was the best at it. He would just rapid fire. But again, it was all designed not to hurt you, make you laugh. Some guys didn't take it that way. Long story short, he said something about one guy, and I guess he was the head dude out there. And because I noticed when he got up and I usually go up in my room, but this particular time I sat back and watched the show because I think I put a little fire on there, and I said, I want to see if DL can follow that. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm watching, and DL goes at this dude. This dude leaves, and when I noticed he got up and left, all of these other people from different people left right behind him.
Not a good sign.
Like he was like, and I was, you know, very. It was odd. It was odd. When they came back, they didn't come back to sit down. They came backstage. Wow. And I was on the side of this, you know, side, and they was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get that motherfucker. I'm gonna shoot him." You know, you could see, you could see they had guns. You could see they wasn't saying I'm gonna beat them up.
They were about that life.
Right.
It was about that life. It wasn't no misunderstanding. And it wasn't like I was a hero. I'm not gonna go long in the story, but it wasn't like I was a hero or anything to that nature. It was just my friend was on stage. He had no idea what was going on, and I could either let him take what's getting ready to happen and talk about it later, or I could try to get him out.
Yeah.
And so I didn't even have 5 seconds to think about it. And I walked on stage, and he knew immediately something was wrong, because nobody walks on stage as you're in your material and taps you on the shoulder and say, "Listen, get out the side. They're gonna try to kill you. You know, I'll do the rest of your show."
Behind some jokes.
He looked at me like, he looked through me like what? And soon as I said that, the house light, now mind you, we're in a theater. We're in a theater, and you know something was wrong. The house lights in the complete theater went black. One of the dudes turned the whole house lights off, and at this point, we think they're just gonna shoot on stage. You know, they was just gonna shoot on stage. So we ducking, people screaming, everybody screaming, trying to get out. You know, it's almost like if you pack a theater right now and somebody just take a gun and pop, 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 and you know how people
that's terrible, scatter all over the place.
That's exactly how they was running out then. And somehow we got out the side. My cousin was a DC police officer. He was with me at the time. He was worried about me, and DL had a road manager. I can't remember the dude's name. And we got out the side. And for some reason, there was a police officer in the back of the building, and told him real quick what happened. He was like, "Y'all get in this car right here and go to the." It wasn't even our car.
Wow.
It was another limo for somebody else.
But
and the
just
dude
to
was
get
like,
you out.
And not only that, we was like, "Shit, we'll pay you, here, So we get out. We go out. They're out there burning and tearing up another car that they think is ours.
Wow, they meant business. This
crazy. Man, this was ridiculous. So we get to the hotel. Mind you, when you get a lot of money, this happened a lot, which a lot of people don't know. You would get money. They would pay you in cash. Would never take a check, because it ain't going. When you get home, it ain't gonna work out for you. It wasn't no cash app. Wasn't no cash app.
Give me my money. I want cash. Give me the green.
It's all cash. So what would happen was, a lot of promoters would give you the cash. You get back to the hotel, they send you back with a little chick or whatever the case may be, and they rob you later on.
Yeah.
Period. A lot of dudes got robbed. They ain't gonna never say it. You never heard them talk about it. But I know at least 4 guys got robbed.
Wow.
So we would a lot of times when things wasn't right, we would go back, get the stuff out the hotel, and check into another hotel. Period. Because everybody knew where you stood. And that's what we did. We got our stuff, but this time we left the whole area. I don't know. I can't remember. It wasn't Cleveland. It could have been I can't remember at the time, but we left and went to a whole entirely different area, like 60, 70 miles away.
Yeah.
And we went to a dude named Andrew Ford's club. His name was Andrew Ford. I wish I could find him to this day, because I want to know if he remembers this. And we walked in. He was like, "I thought y'all was at the such and such and such." We was. We told him what happened. We ended up doing a show at his comedy club. I think DL did about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. I did about 2.5 hours.
Same night.
It was daytime when we left.
Wow.
The club. Nobody left. Nobody walked out. We did about that much time on stage, because we were and we never talked about it for the longest time. It was never like a conversation. I don't even remember people coming up and asking me, "Hey man, what happened?" And I don't remember for the longest time. Wow. And so it only came back in the past when, I started getting blacklisted and certain things happening and this and that and this. At this point, DL's moving up, and he got the Hughleys, and all of these things are happening. And again, that was my man. And we made a pledge to each other. Yeah. So I never decided to cash in on the pledge until things, the house note is now behind 20,000. Yeah. The such and such is whatever, and blah blah blah. I'm like, wait a minute. I got all of these rich or soon to be rich friends. I don't want their money. I just need some of your cachet. I need to be able to walk in the
Open
door
some
with
doors.
you.
Yeah.
Correct. If anything, to be able to, you walk in with some of these white agents that are no longer dealing with me because you're the cash cow now. They're not going to do anything to you.
Right.
If LeBron walked, who messed up? Somebody who messed up through the door. What are they going to do? Nothing. They're going to listen to LeBron.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
That cachet. Even if you have shows, mind you, at this point, you got 40, 50, 60 shows of your own. You can say every show you have, somebody has to open for you.
Yeah.
Somebody got to be the MC. Somebody got to be. So you can easily say, man, you know what? I'll put you at a middle act for 30 of those shows until you figure out, but just keep money flowing through your doors.
Right.
Drug dealers do that with each other. Listen, I'll front you, this, that, get you back on track
to straighten things out.
Like, I had dudes that, when
Ted, we got about, I'm sorry. Can you hear us, Ted?
I can't.
We have about 3 minutes. I'm sorry.
We have to have you back
because
our audience hasn't even heard why you got blacklisted. I've seen it in other interviews, but I hope that you'd be available if we can have you back. I mean, you seem like you got stories on stories.
Well, to be honest with you, and Greg can tell you, I don't think y'all see me on too many podcasts.
We haven't.
And the reason being is because I do have these stories, and my thing was, why give them out to everybody? Go ahead, wait till you get your platform.
So your book,
whatever the case can be. So when he came and he called me, and we talked about this one, I was like, okay. I get asked probably about, and I'm going to do more. I'm going to do more. Yeah. I may not tell all the stories, but I'm going to do a little bit more than I was.
I think people want to see. There's an appetite to hear you and see you. And we're really honored that we're one of the places that you deposited some of your stories.
Absolutely.
I really feel really good about that.
So on behalf of us, Ted, we want to say thank you so much for coming on our podcast, like you said.
I appreciate it. If we can get some bump in, if I can get some bump in the IG, because all the pandemic, I wasn't on any of that stuff. I didn't come on one time. So everybody got 100,000 people. I got like 8. No, we're up to about 20,000 now. So if at Teddy Carpenter, if you enjoyed a little bit of this, hopefully your team can follow me at Teddy Carpenter. That bump would be great.
Absolutely.
Y'all hear that out there? Come on and log in. Check Teddy Carpenter out at his IG.
And we will definitely bring you back, Ted.
Yes.
On behalf of Jazzy Conversations, I'm Teef.
And I'm Gigi.
Ted, have a great night. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
We appreciate you.
All right now.
Welcome to Jazzy Conversations. I'm Teef.
And I'm Gigi.
And listen, 2345 Whitney Avenue, Tavern by the Hall.
Come on down. Come on down. And if you subscribe, you get 10% off your ticket.
10%. Teef and Gigi. Put it in your cell phone right now.
Right now.
TEEF and Gigi. Hit subscribe and you get how much off?
10%, Teef.
Tavern by the Hall. Hey, Steve. Hope all is well, buddy. Check it out.